Are you looking to win your Galaxy Summit battles? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about the very best flagship pairs that you can use to smash your enemies. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in this video, sponsored by the makers of Infinite Galaxy, we've got to talk about the Alliance vs. Alliance battleground, the Galaxy Summit. And there's something that you notice right away, which is that you can only have one fleet at a time. This leaves you several strategies to deploy, and I'm going to talk about all of them in this video. So if you like Infinite Galaxy guides designed to help you get value and smash your enemies, then consider smashing that subscribe button. The first really obvious strategy that I'm going to share with you today is very simply specialization in one warship type. You move the needle on all your research and all your crew to have the very best single flagship pair that you can possibly muster for one warship type. So in that instance, you would use, for example, the Artemis with the Orion, fast moving, lot of punch. Or perhaps you would use the Hades and the Radamanthus, fast moving, lot of punch. I mentioned fast moving in part because in the battleground, you really want to go fast from one place to another. Cruisers are cool if you're staying on your end of the battlefield defending something because they're slow moving, but you want to have something that moves fast. So if you were to go all in on one unit type, I think it will be either frigates or destroyers, and you've got to be going all in on the flagships that boost those unit types the most. Now, in this instance, I have paired the epic tier with the legendary tier flagship that has all the same effects, but what you could do is use, if you had it, full legendary tier quality. So for example, you could use the Artemis and pair that really well with, say, a Titan. Or for example, you could pair the Hades with something like the Poseidon. I think that would also be really strong. If you were looking at epic tier flagships instead of legendary tier, you could go for something that's a little bit more universal. Again, the Theseus really fills that role very well. That's because it doesn't care at all about the type of warship that you're bringing, which has some upsides and has some downsides. Generally, these flagships that go all in on one unit type benefit that unit type disproportionately. It's a lot more stats, but the downside, of course, is that you can only use that one unit. The upside of that is that you want one unit type probably anyways because of how your outfitting works, boosting a specific type of damage. So with all that said, going all in on one warship type is a reasonable strategy. And again, I think it should be frigates or destroyers if that's what you're going to do. But the alternative is to have a way to mobilize every single one of your warship types. Something for your frigates, something for your destroyers, and something for your cruisers. And that's what I personally am going to try to move in on as a strategy. Now, the perfect combinations, in my eyes, if you could do anything you wanted, and thank you again, Spartan, for working this out with me. Spartan is the strongest player by power in our nebula. We talked about the possibility of pairing Artemis with the Titan as very top tier for frigates, the Hades, and for me personally, I would pair with the Hephaestus to go all in on destroyers, and that would leave you with the Cyclops and the Poseidon for cruisers. Now, the reason I like the Cyclops and the Poseidon is that both of these flagships care about being above 70% hit points. So the Cyclops is going to make it so you can do more damage when you're above that threshold, and the Poseidon makes you more tanky when you're above that threshold. And in general, it's just a very tanky flagship that, like, yes, it's going to make you survive longer and stay in that higher health range for longer to get the benefit of more of your skills. Now, that will be the perfect way, in my opinion, to deploy those different flagships and to have a warship of each type. You can only have one fleet at a time, but you can bring out the frigates until you're out of those, the destroyers until you're out of those, and the cruisers until you're out of those in a way that I think is pretty effective. Now, for me personally, man, I don't have those kinds of flagships. Who are you kidding? Man, I whale in this game, and I don't have that kind of stuff. So what could I bring? I'm going to weave in some epics. So I'm going to start with the Artemis and the Orion. I think that's going to serve me very well, all in frigates. I'm going to start to work on the Hades as a project during the next Galaxy Star and rank that up a bunch. And I'm going to use the Theseus as the secondary. And that is because I have a bunch of Federation credits that I could dump into powering this up. And my Federation Advanced credits are already going to be going into the Hades. So I can't really do more legendaries right now. And on the topic of legendaries for cruisers, I'm actually going to mix things up a little bit. And I'm going to use the Cyclops, which I've been buying my way into, paired with the Hephaestus, which is a VIP unlock. It goes very, very slowly once you get to VIP 9 and 10 to actually progress this thing any further. I just hit VIP 11, so I can start to advance this maybe one, okay, definitely one, maybe two more times. Fingers crossed I can get a second upgrade on this thing because, man, those upgrades come really quite slowly. But I think for most players, the strategy of going all in on one warship type is probably the most sound. Refocus all your warship building to that one type. Refocus your crew to that one type. And refocus your energy in flagship investments to one really killer pair with really great outfitting that gets work done. That's what I probably would recommend, because I think the cost to heal your warships in the Galaxy Summit is way too steep. Only the whaliest of whales are going to be spending corium on that. So I think going all in on one type, starting to shift your warship production to that one type, is probably the way for most players. And if you wanted to do 2, just go to that. You want to do 3, you go to that. But because you can only have one at a time, I think that gives a clear lane for specialization rather than diversity with your fleets. Whereas in normal Nebula fighting, you could have 4 different fleets or 5 potentially in a bunch of different places all at once. And that is a different set of optimizations entirely. If you found this video helpful, do me a favor, throw a like on here and consider subscribing. We'll be back for more Infinite Galaxy videos designed to help you smash your enemies and get value. So throw a like on here, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.